opening, but go ahead.
Contention was degrowth, continued growth is an unsustainable moisture extinction. The impossibility of decoupling within available time scales necessitates degrowth. 2021 with one degree severe impacts to will be uncontrollable accidental death, body losses, unprecedented human planet ecosystems. Scientists agree growth with traders extraction must be quicker, curtailment emissions reductions occur during recession reduction throughout the next year address all drivers of extinction career use ready suppresses nitrogen. Biology and climate entropy law illustrated the dynamic impossibility of growth trajectory. Even innovation substitution indicates catastrophic outcome carbon pricing. Improving efficiency of renewable energy engineering is too risky. Jevons paradox increases use regardless of efficiency. Emissions increase renewables assume one unit space philosophy and energy expansion increases price spurring the demand renewables have lower ERE engineering is ineffective, risky and unproven requiring clean times India for bioenergy to eject particles, risk unknown impacts, ozone hole, acid rain, pollution and military use left no growth to be prosperous, degrowth is necessary to protect future generations. There's no global absolute decoupling efficiency gains controlled by increases in volume once we count for offshoring. There's no decoupling even with efficiency. In renewable energy, we are on trajectory for 5.5. Even optimistic assumptions push past carbon budgets, it is more possible to achieve reduction without growth. The impact is converging catastrophes that cause extinction, oxygen, disease, disasters, COVID-19, oceans, warming, stop-with persistence, the result, mass mortality, heat, thaw, permafrost, exposure to anti-Spanish flu, smallpox, beyond pain, trigger, ice melt, trigger, earthquake, better press, increased volcanic activity, tsunamis, moving out, things, cognitive ability, phosphorus, calories, and that productivity, flat even honey crops, susceptible things to deteriorate fats, food, choke points, vertebrates, carbon levels reduced, protein minerals, cost of depressed dynamic heat, that outweighs nuclear war. Miller, McDonald, and nuclear change does not result in apocalypse or into shaky science. There's no model that determined how many microtons make humans succeed. Nations detonated 2,476 devices. Humans who recover from war, even nuclear humans, cannot recover from climate change. Growth, drought, zoonotic disease, or a tiny pandemic inflict huge economic damages. 70% of pathogens of zoonotic meat consumed per person double lifestyle that spread pathogens drives meat demand on markets. Trade, climate change, deforestation, intensive farming to spread deadly pandemic. 60% of forests have managed pathogens. Community quickly which be dangerous to lack of immunity way to attack pandemics and achieve environmental sustainability. Disease, cause extinction. Diamandus 22 we have to plan how to face the next pandemic, even worse pandemics that the existence of the human race pandemics could result in it could be shut down as civilization. In extinction, the various of mutation created by weakening antibodies COVID helped us realize that we would be sitting on the time of billions of other viruses or waiting pitting danger to existence of other inhabitants of planet Earth. Growth-oriented AI ensures extinction but degrowth solves. Paleo-18 sustainability and superintelligence are not independent. Superintelligence can be affected by socio-economic context. Neoliberalism is a major force shaping global policies. In contrast to degrowth, superintelligence align with markets could have undesirable consequences for humanity and the virus could neoliberalism creating green ground for superintelligence. Technical countries are overcome by asymptotically. Advanced tech most emerge from life sense of entities subject to capitalist rules and economic selection. The godfather of AI and 30,000 leading researchers signed a statement saying it's 5 years away. Robo 23 models released by the short-term extinction. Private tech industry leaders, the godfather of AI, said on a brief statement 30,000 researchers called for positive and be 5 years away. Society should address the risk. We need to stop development. All regulation fails. AI causes extinction and is by far the biggest impact. Martin 23, hundreds of industry and science leaders warn extinction from AI should be priority incentive for citizen AI is ranked at the top likelihood of AI extinction exceeds climate change, pandemics, asteroids, super volcanoes, and equal combined with extinction, human level AI, new AI breakthroughs have an urgency. AI getting closer already, recursive, self-improvement, constantly improving AI, creative, positive feedback loop, intelligence explosion, superintelligence outsmarts us. Malicious active corrupted during trading gold conflicts with the messages of humanity, superintelligence actually will realize hack the internet, construct narratives that are extremely convincing. Extinction might be a side effect of executing another goal, pause the AI alignment, labs anticipating will not be able to control. The AI open AI that will make every single development environment secure, large forms of environment, fundamentally technical work again, and still by safety, even open source models are performed without safety and risk. I strength that system is gigantic, and anyone in AI obsessed risk is less than 1% in AI pause. Rhetoric training may be seen as unrealistic, but as a society we are risking human extinction. Global fragmentation and future crises make economic crash inevitable. To achieve our 23 cooperation is to retreat the world is going to see fragmentation natural. Security considerations, job losses, and inequality, fuel protectionism, and non-pandemic, pushing world into crisis, military conflict. Conditional markets, comments, is introducing shocks that is putting sustainability on risk. Fragmentation to reduce GDP by 7% in 2019 countries impose 1,000 restrictions on trade in 2032, 3,000 fragmentation to conditional markets, and create food and energy insecurity. Debt traps cause economic catastrophe, green spin. 23 debt trap is social catastrophe, and 18 debt trap unsustainable global crisis that is world economy. The situation is deteriorating. During the pandemic, debts ballooned by 2 trillion, raising interest exacerbates the profit pricing rates by capital. Fly increasing depreciation as well as increasing borrowing costs that are eating a large piece of natural resources. Private creditors refuse to engage in restructuring the world access system to deal with debt in the context of climate and geopolitical distress. It is the biggest threat to peace and financial stability. Innovation has peaked for every technology. Growth is soon of history. Spill 23 tech market is slowing down. Growth has not taken place in fundamental activities. Agriculture, energy, transportation, and engineering. Nor do we see improvements in health and quality of life, growth, and productive capacity have been restraining electricity and efficiency improved by 1.5% a year over 100 years. Progress is not accelerating wave of patents. Peak over 1995 technology growth is soon history. Chinese economic collapse we're rank growth globally. I'm T23 China's world economy that reaches limits, the pricing curve, stability, and illusion, the Chinese economy is slowing. Investment into local governments have built up 8 trillion of that threatens the stability of the entire economy that is have China's GDP with declining local incomes and dominant deposits likely a crash in China would have a devastating impact on the world economy. China needs growth of 8% to maintain social stability and lockdown protests target explosive reform. The United States federal government should adopt a forever jobs guarantee financed by fiscal policies designed to facilitate degrowth. Contention 2 is transition. A degrowth job guarantee is crucial to shift the social fabric of society, reduce the production and consumption. UT20 monetary neutrality not viable without a change in as of getting no choice to make compensation because prerequisite to its provision of economic security to reduce productivity and implement 30 hour work week, to workers, change can relocalize the economy, dismiss local work, reduce communities, and secure workers available, change in self-employed care, such as raising shortage of care for elderly, and something that's a nation provides potential to reduce the production, consumption, demand, and change in Canada, sharing economy. The guarantee prioritizes ecological practices, Seiko 21 keep warming under 1.5, high nations need to emission by 10% per year, progressive job guarantee with unemployment and ensure livelihood something in real crisis. We need to remember renewable energy, we need to restore the graded ecosystem, expand public transportation, and shift to regenerative farming by paying living wage, independent anti-poverty, to strengthen the bargaining power of labour and to reduce inequality. We find it difficult closing coal mines because of employment. This is why governments bail oil companies and invest to prevent mass layoffs. The degrowth job guarantee supplants the private sector. Trickle 20 if people have access to job guarantee years where they can have access to high quality services, then why on earth would they ever agree to do unnecessary or degrading labour for private firms? Job guarantee is vital to constrain the downsides of the degrowth transitions. Matsukato and Skill Devsky 20, there will be no guarantee of consumption, financial orthodox, and establish a job guarantee should keep companies that are wasting or eroded attention to the direction of growth, tilting the playing field for projects such as derive private investment to a bigger bank, decrease net and multiply for downturn, increase possibility of any upturns, which is part of sector job program to generate a sustainable tax base. Where crowding and activity fully employed augments the wider community under or unemployed have less income to drop the main percent inputs ability to stabilize the acts to reduce fluctuations in the public's employment constantly powerful counter-cyclical stabilizer. Aligning a job guarantee with progressive fiscal policy locks in degrowth. Match 21, there puts in fiscal policy taxes for promoting environmental activity shall pass universal sustainability. Systemic change must income change the tax system. A tax can reflect all externalities waiting on action. VAT increments, corporate tax, to reshape the approach transition. We must do away with subsidies and tax benefits that enter sustainable activities that will substantially progressively increase tax rates. Degrowth taxes shape mindsets. Jackson 17 years clearly some role for an effective state establishing ecological limits using its power to tax stabilize cycles, achieve full employment, and helping shift the logic of consumerism where government invests huge inputs on infrastructure tech and not has style employment policy shapes and co-creates a social world. US degrowth goes global. When the US economy sneezes, the rest of the world catches pneumonia. At the best times, any step back, the US have major implications for the rest of the global economy, but these are far from best, especially since the Chinese is confronted with a host of challenges. Degrowth at home opens a possibility for economic diplomacy around me. 21 foreign policy will look at with the socialist White House, meanwhile, in America's ocean has been treasury. The US expresses its power by allowing great access to the economy, not stepping against tax havens, increasing inflation. The fact that left admin created condition of redistributive agenda and environmental protection alone, encouraged by this been replaced sustainable policy transformation at home. Build up the more legitimacy of its economy, US increases its ability to Russia diplomatic pressure, and American Chinese economies a lot. It embraces only the diplomacy with any environmental pact be achieved when a cause being put by the US with its economic power, fighting companies shifting war bank loans from corporations to migrants.
Good for us.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. First, funding mechanism.
Fiscal policies.
Okay, sure. In the world of degrowth, what happens to all the existing AI? I understand what you do to prevent future AI from spiraling, but what happens to the dangerous AI that currently already exists?
We think that AI is only dangerous insofar as it's driven towards profit, which means that
yes,
even if AI exists, it doesn't matter because AI won't be coded.
Wait, why? There's
or
currently
programmed or
AI that
deployed in a
exists
way.
that, is
Like what?
perpetuating the profit motive, that has developed.
Yeah,
What-
but
where does
Japan
that all
gets rid
go?
of the profit motive.
But where
So
does that all go?
the
Is it
AI might the code will still exist, but if as long as actors aren't using it to pursue profit.
ChatGPT is not going to cause extinction right now if the plan happens immediately.
Okay. I guess what piece of evidence says that? You read it, the first piece of evidence seems to indicate that reducing production and consumption is key. What piece of evidence says that that is sufficient to degrow the economy overall?
It's a combination of the taxes and job guarantee that decreases economic growth. The taxes would
So
have
I
very
guess
high
what is the
marginal
threshold
tax
for
rate.
how much of a tax that is needed to degrow the entire economy? Is it linear? Is it like a certain amount that means hey, we're at this amount, we're at degrowth?
We think it's very linear. The higher the tax rates, the higher the chance that there's less profit in the economy.
Okay, what is the point though when there's we get rid of the profit motive, for example? How do we know when the
The
profit
Jackson
motive?
and Benz cards say that the taxes would be highly progressive and it will be implemented in a way
No,
that.
no, no. I get that there's a progressive tax. That's not my question.
Yeah,
My
so
question
the
is, if
marginal
we implement
rates
the
on-
progressive tax, like
Yes.
what is the threshold for when we know, like this is the point for when the profit motive does not exist anymore?
Well, degrowth occurs when the rate of GDP growth is 0%. So that's how you measure that.
I guess let's talk about the disease impact. The Aurora evidence, the internal link is just about meat consumption and cultivation of wild animals.
Not just that, it's also about things like deforestation, trade, intensive farming, the overuse of ABR in industrial agriculture,
Like,
and
okay,
climate change.
but what is the internal link between that and the spread of pathogens, especially in the world of degrowth? If like hospitals are operating less because you said you decrease working hours, like.
We don't think hospitals would necessarily work less because a lot of the jobs would be in
Wait,
care
why? You
work
said the
sectors.
entire economy degrows and
Yeah, it shifts away from things that maximize traditional economic productivity to things that maximize social and ecological good, which includes things like nursing.
so
and
like
care
does
work.
it so the I guess like drug development or like medicine development stays the same?
We think that there might even be a bigger priority on those things because those things may not
Well, all of
maximize.
your evidence says
growth
that
or profit.
reduction in every sector is needed
Not
to
every
degrow.
sector.
But how
Hegel,
does it even degrow?
it says we need to degrow certain sectors.
So when is he was sent?
Wait, I understand.
Yeah. Adolf degrowth transition.
I like the debate sticker on it, by the way.
Okay.
It's opening.
First topic, Danish government, the United States federal government should establish a program to cover 4.8% of the surface of Earth's oceans in a model area of 0.1 UN, then the diameter of latex particles bearing a conventional stabilization system that is inactivated in saltwater fund the construction of synthetic trees designed for the capture of carbon dioxide, increases security cooperation with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization over biodefense, and threaten to first strike any company that develops an artificial intelligence solves without crashing growth. Next off is the assurances to send the plan breaks from America's ideological commitment to its allies, Manipal, 19, Russia, China, and Iran, committing to global regional initiatives with coordination Soviet Union, presented ideological challenges was advancing communists and capable of plan policies carefully coordinated with tax lead, collective allies, Washington's coalition, local council, coordinating and thousand four defending principles, revisions, and acts of the economy, partners leverage the use of these offices that provide part of coalition reaching issues and all orientation to return policy change, and increase chance of disruption, retrenchment causes nuclear escalation, Mitchell 17, deep participation of allies, creates opportunities for revisions, powers, and confidence, China, Russia, Iran, disagrees, decaying region, probing to developing system belief that the region will hold even as a temple or simple over relies fragile behavior, has rating effects on the seasons, and the 11 of the power of the industrial of the region, where opposite global loss of the region, the back of their areas of compartmentalized events in Europe, remain confined to any sign of institution. Any sign of institution which species that affect other states not directly involved, there's a wider audience, but at least each as well watching Europe, areas that are not harmful, at least separate from the one that the effect of the other states that don't region, the impact of trends, because the SAC as a constitutional analysis of current Moscow's subtle degree power, but nuclear weapons transmit purposely SES while parties can miscalculate and miscalculate creatures not lucky people and influencer, rules and dramatic assumption and miscalculation elevated from small answers for water war, degrowth crashes to terrorists ignites, global instability and green lights, arms chasing Scotland, just want to be kind of like convention shooting, power possible and nuclear conflict, or sort of China, Russia, dominance, somebody, bigger indication, right, chance for catching up, water security, vulnerable Russian, China, you over the pandemic, channels, and less effective new theater response, global arms use resolution of launch wars going to be set in access to religious wars, much as Europe, Africa, and regular back coast conflicts, primacy, sustainable, and solid salt extinction revision has been true, it's true in multiple areas of possible brands in Kenya, America, even primacy in every document these 22 power projection, and Europe, Asia, the East, and down discussions back with strategy, prevention, beautiful order, these events are existing, development area, the Washington representative of branch, percentage challenge system, drones, like, mark how they keep great powers to receiving regional hesitation, development, the wrong decision, that's something including conventional, special forces, the wrong as well, the 828 tackle out, the actors are going to security, strategies, etc., narrative defense, and the position traffic, level, the effect of generation, challenge, level, excuse, country, road, states, and the great power competition, new war cost, extinction, star 17, the European research authority, the areas of found, adapting and child this as you started the art and modeling time before good secretly this with the one wisdom that which you would result in basketball and family will only take a matter of these in the middle class as you grow to become a limited which let them do the population. Next off is the ASPEC, not specifying the Asian plane beyond US choose voting issue dream like shifting asset that your rules excuse negative strategy. Next off is the death K indication of death the max is necrophilia. Then opposition with body count that ends in extinction but negative rejected nerve 21 death necrophilia. This is that is not passion to destroy. These adventures with that mechanical the biofilms. Extraction love insurance and nothing for life pathological connected to the cause of warfare, destruction of the bureaucratic industry, flows or things orientation. Then life soul is having is where religion of the world and then not seeing necrophilism, then necrophilism find out so more than life, making them turn to life and things, everything is nice, like a robot. Next off is T, interpretation, physical, redistribution, change, distribution of income through progressive to income taxes and transfers past between 21 redistribution, reverse policies that influence the income, fiscal policy, redistribution, fiscal policy taxing, the rich that make up at a higher rate. Then so the four violations that plans of degrowth tax, one EC Vance describes environmental taxes, not income taxes, vote neg for limit searcher, needs any activity can be taxed, meaning that research on tenable. Next off is the content counterplan, actually, next off is the shutdown, decide Congress, no voids it now, but it's zero about you, 1-4 Johnson, and Sugar, funny also doesn't need to shut down the further regulation, the execution set of Congress, pass on the stop by the city house, open to cover, and claim on the navigation, they should shut down the government law, except the 10 days, so every professional sector, not to miss the shutdown, real good progress of the noble, we can the shutdown, the plan trades off Madison, the energy is well ready to create some of the keys to for the right of the non-cost critics are many characters who absolutely disaster out of the deficit. Lazy inflation will be ill now without radical stretching of the political landscape. The GOP is not going to deliver this. That's magnified by degrowth, obviously, collapse of cybersecurity, Whitaker 19, the whole homeland security, leaks of local cybersecurity, some of the most longer shutdown, the greater chance of shadow budget and staff for full of their intelligence here, waiting head shutdown, last longest damage time for the 7 times on shot, we're going to shut down to try to keep it cyber places, spinning noble, not a full strength, this risky extinction, Claire 19 cyber. Attacks justifying use of the links between cyber and nuclear. Links between cyber and nuclear are growing around as well. The extensive capabilities in a crisis, limited to escalation on each other, kind of inherent unmessability, safe to interpret singles and launch rather than lose around the world to destroy key systems of Russia infiltration because attacks that are taking attention to attacks lead to nuclear conflict. Next off is the CONCON counterplan. The United States will limit conflict to show conventional control by at least 34 of the states and ratify at least 38 states adopt a federal job guarantee financed by fiscal policies designed to facilitate U.S. assaults, cause follow on and avoid politics, Cooper 21 Constitution, the rest of the states confession right to the courts, name that particular Congress which all one when I was state the convention Congress the ministry are already Article 5 can be for liberal purposes. Degrowth. Growth sustainable, right? 20 megatrons are wrong people, population development, metal, not tax research, price of metal, those why use it in the revamp, grow more, find more, then better use it, manipulate the economy, grow, unless the threshold is high, no evidence says that the collapse will happen because of one ticky-tacky reason, or it will be gradual pushing that mitigation way 21 plus research, extract or growing to become extinct doomsday, and models of a problem and advice, except for research, temperance, podcasting, or using price, social time, obsessive, observe, forecast, seek, or synchronous, likely, exactly, make cash, focus for a decade, duty comes out of the country out of the next one, scientists don't know, catastrophe gets clicks, models you obviously report, architecture, down to the natural availability, commercial, visibility, technical discovery, living activities, decoupling products, decoupling growth, safe, saying innovation, for transformers are already underway, new investment, testament of that card also says that growth solves warming, no disease impact, or 20 global pandemic, fall short of effect humanity, deeper biological research, lead to extinction, correlation between infections and lethality, severity, less optimal wireless installation, not option for subject collapse, even if global data is strongest against extraterrestrial as fossil record, well, percentage of immunity, the loss of diseases in other countries, and growth-oriented innovation has historically contained every pandemic, and they cancel. In quote ABR, use in industrial ag AI, AGI is impossible and harmless. Hold 21 threats been overblown. Our small probabilities matters with obvious if the physically the risk. Company and then the companies almost happening as something that has unproven assumption everything close to arts. In those units, have general lines another way and the should by custom tools in their infinite and evolution of super intelligence. It's also by another option works for all theories. So in general, as well, custom intelligence and super intelligence possible to solve the place where we can plan combination of the integrated construction systems that whenever you're having a number in some way even instead general intelligence will be applicable especially analysis intelligence because we can of programs the plan can't solve existing AI it's already ingrained within the profit motive and inevitable in other countries regardless they don't solve because they don't get rid of the profit motive degrowth is more likely to prevent good AI than growth is to cause bad AI or share 22 refusal no AI has to have gained momentum right to the African so they accept problems in the world control automated attack of these systems people will maintain the point back of this discriminating rights ensure optics for learning rather than offloading of liability is a challenge the model for automation misalignment is fake rejected by consensus Romero 21 AIs with climate change, whether can solve it, it will be the strong of only anecdotal examples are exponential nothing. Also, for your exponential, there are flaws in RC, never define AI, almost no AI expert. Okay, the threat is super intelligent, AI surpasses many expert. You can, nothing's level in general, so it's most powerful. Can understand companies so cause effect AI, lacks on the mindset of reasoning, and nobody is far from being anything complex. Nor general, now transition. Capital flight ensures rebound, degrowth in one country fails, callous 15 on interdependence between costs for degrowth is not on the ability to superstructure, which is single help production, no follow-up, everything around consumption. Also, rates even go through the actual problem. The plan is not a smooth transition. Degrowth transition from 2018 job year to 2022 labor cost workers for years, 4% GDP economic loss of significant yearly. Wood product infrastructure and low productivity. The also reduce efficiency of the economy, tax nature, infrastructure cost, over to low value programs for corruption, poor quality project delivery, with unwilling to track performance, so incentivize the levels of work after GG. It's usually costly. GG fails one private sector backlash, shaking over 18 day running a traffic additional, which these are critical pressure on private challenge and serious. 2 state business carbon 20 Polish states will track forward in federal employment. Obviously, you both are magnified by GG because everyone.
If they say asterisk, we get new answers.
If they say asterisk, we
There's
get
no
new
evidence
answers.
of that.
Not their own system. The one is.
You good?
Yeah.
Can you take blanks?
We can. No.
Okay. The assurance dissad, the scapegoat card. The article title is "The Decline of U.S. Power and the Future of Conflict Management After COVID," and scapegoat is writing about U.S.'s current posture and how it's already declining. Wherever you read uniqueness evidence that says that hegemony will remain strong.
Well, one of the brand's evidence.
Well, that one's before this article, and it's before COVID.
Yeah, sure. The Scopper's evidence is not like, it is making a sort of future predictive claim that we need
That
to maintain.
America's declining.
No, that we need to maintain relative growth, especially in.
Okay, let me
China,
read you some lines.
In the few years beyond the
Let
pandemic.
me read you some lines and explain to me how this proves uniqueness. It says, quote, "The trends over the past 2 decades have been more negative for the U.S. than is commonly recognized, with Eurasia having nearly 70%.
Well, okay, that's not the entire collapse of the U.S. economy that makes our allies totally freak out and not trust us at all, as per the
Well,
link evidence.
scapegoat is just saying that America is already
It does
declining
not mean that
relative to
allies
China
don't
and
trust
Russia.
us or we can't deter our adversaries, even if the U.S. has been declining.
Well, this card is tagged as degrowth triggers the link, but where does this card make the distinction between those two things?
Well, it says that China is, quote, likely to come out economically better off. We need to maintain growth, which we
Yeah,
think is
they are
sustainable
already
growth.
quickly catching up.
Yeah, they
It
are
also
catching
says-
up. We need to outpace
Yeah,
them.
that's not the same thing as the Mandelbaum evidence, which says that the plan is like the
Okay.
factor.
Great, let's talk about the Mandelbaum evidence. What part of this card is about economics or about economic growth?
Yeah, it's about, quote, internal processes. It's about the economy. It's about
Economy?
chances of
I don't think it says that
disruption.
word.
Yeah, it is.
The Mandelbaum evidence also say, quote, "Russia and China compete with each other. Both have large Muslim populations, giving them reason to worry about Iranian power." It says that Beijing is concentrating on developing forces.
That's not a reason why they're not revisionist.
It says Beijing is concentrating on developing forces to exclude the United States from the Western Pacific, not to
Yeah,
project
exactly.
power globally.
Exactly.
How is that revisionism?
How is that revisionism? I mean, the
It says
Mitchell
not to
evidence,
project power.
the Scopper's evidence indicates revisionism. Brand's evidence. It doesn't matter if like one line taken out of context isn't.
Well,
fully
no,
correct.
like all of these cards are either a critique of the status quo or they think that like we don't really need to
It's
contain
like the
Russia
future
and China.
predictive. Like the Scopper's evidence is specific to the economy. So is the Mandelbaum evidence. It's about large internal processes like a
Okay, so
transition to degrowth, which would
Explain to
freak
me,
allies out.
why are allies assured by the United States now?
We have nuclear and economic capability that allies think, the U.S.
So
will
the
help them
nuclear
in-
capability, how does the plan affect that?
Well, it's not just that. It's our military capability, our technological capacity to innovate new forms of technology, our ability to have a strong economy, which we think is key to our military.
It also talks about like coordination that's maintained right now will be broken because of ideological challenges that
Yeah.
occur if
It's
the plan
it does not have to be a material change to like
No,
allow
but
nuclear
where's
defense. because
Mandelbaum
allies will
about,
see
like,
the U.S.
I assume
growing the economy.
the ideology card is Mandelbaum, but what part of the card talks about? Okay, it's okay. I'm sending it to you.
Give me 1 second.
Are you good for an order in the meantime?
Yeah, sure.
Degrowth, transition, T, A spec, critique, con, advantage, content, assurance, shutdown.
Growth is unsustainable, right? Does not cite absolute decoupling, which means it's too slow. It also concedes words like thermodynamics and Chevin's paradox, which make climate change inevitable. They say no collapse, but our evidence is fantastic. It says that global depression is certain from multiple factors that they've conceded. They say climate change defense, but it's false fuel propaganda. Our evidence is that IPCC and scientists conclude that climate change will cause runaway ice ages, runaway sea level rise and tipping points which culminate in extinction. They say growth solves climate change. There's no warrant for this. They say disease defense, but it does not assume zoonotic diseases that happen because of capitalism, which overcome virulence trade-off and causes extinction. They say that other countries make it inevitable, but there's global spillover. They say innovation solves disease, but evidence says that future diseases are existential. They say ABR defense, but generative agriculture solves ABR and the hookup into defense. That they say HAI defense, it's too old. The consensus of 50,000 leading researchers is that AI is existential. Their evidence is from a philosopher, not an AI expert. They say that AI exists now, but they're not deadly yet. Only degrowth solves by shifting away from the profit motive and by forcing corporations to scale down their production of AI. They say no misalignment, but their evidence is again outdated and it was answered above. A capitalist-oriented artificial intelligence has motivations to destroy the universe because it cares about nothing other than profit. Transition. No capital flight. Catalysts assume exit taxes, which means that we solve capital flight and this global spillover because the US slowdown forces other economies to slow down as well. They say that the transition is not smooth, but it just has a job guarantee. It's not productive, which we've impact turned. The job guarantee still provides high quality of life and benefits, which solves. They say there's backlash. It does not assume a job guarantee, which creates high quality of life. And they say that there's this state resistance, but our mode of job guarantee is more than sufficient to solve because the federal government will provide jobs to everyone. So even if there's state backlash, people will still be happy. T. 1. We meet pan-tax in a vacuum. 2. Counter to fiscal redistribution is a process of moving resources from one group to another via taxes and transfers between them. 12. Redistribution government collects taxes and makes expenditures and transfers. 3. Afghan. Income taxes are indefensible versus taxes placed in states. Plan 4. Pigs solve. 5. Predictability. BASB is not limited to income, wealth, and progressive taxes. Meet 2. Insert reality. 6. Functional limits. Case. States, economy, and politics solve. 7. Reasonability. Good is good enough. 8. Condos, voter fairness. Our deters proliferation of overpowered counterplans. B. Quality of debates. Discourages offense, obstructs testing, and causes late-breaking rounds. Dispo solves. A-spec USFT's agent. Further specification needs the agent counterplans, which are a voting issue that rob the app and decenter research. Normal mean solves the offense. Critique. 1. Framework ready after they need links to the plan. Anything else is non-resolutional, which make nukes fairness in class. 2. Do both degrow and reject death impacts. 3. Daylink. Perfcon is a reason to reject the team. It's hypocrisy and magnifies violence. 4. Link turn. Yes, representations breed empathy and motivation for anti-capitalism, and death reps are good because they make us care about people other than ourselves. 5. Alt fails. Death reps are inevitable. Content. 1. Amendment to voting issue vacates opportunity cost analysis by fielding unpredictable, accurate, and panic modifications on right-based deficits. 2. Do counterplan. 3. Do both. 4. Links to net benefit and the case. That's no 92. A con lead to political confrontation that mirrors dimensions would provoke controversy and debate unparalleled result in serious instability and disrupt relations abroad. 5. Permitted a plan upon ratification. Immediacy is bad. It's ad hoc and focuses on contract disputes. 6. It's uncertain, causes preemption, wreck signaling, causes runaway. We end up 22 Article 5 prevention cancels of dangers and concerns about lack of precedent, appropriate guidelines, and possibility of runaway vagueness made people worrying nothing to better conflict be expanded. No has Congress ever succeeded in charting roads, sailing on uncharted waters as concerned. Extinction. Marseille. 18. A con with radical geopolitics and prevent Congress a disaster. Hobble efforts to mitigate climate collapse, catastrophic climate change, macroeconomic crisis, concede entire constitution and rewritten a minority of corporate lobbying, public dominance of state governance, no legal guidance to sky will be the limit. 7. Immediate advantage compact. 1. Can't solve internationally with zero solvency. 2. Do pan and combination of planks. 3. Object fields voting issue makes me impossible by fielding interlinks and impacts. 4. No solvency applicants justify new 1 year answers. 5. Each plank links in that benefit decoupled industries, trigger inflationary pressures, and destroy the economy. 6. Micro bubbles fail. They have not read evidence it works, and our evidence says that only scaling down the economy can succeed. Reforestation similarly fails because it's been tried and it's been unsuccessful. The NATO plank does nothing to solve disease because it's about biodefense, not disease. And the other plank also fails because first tracking AI causes nuclear war. It does not deter or prevent it. Deterrence. 1. Degrowth maintains military meaning. There's no road access left foreign policy must reduce use military use for subjective environment from climate chauvinist, slave states and enemies or social democratic global order left handed. Human best military attack. 2. Hegemony is unsustainable and causes nuclear war. Swaying 23 years is overextended and relies on military means to defend interests in the United States physically very secure and has capability to counter threats. It does not require military force from international systems no longer unipolar politics exploited by inflating the threats posed by China to dynamic increase the chance of conflict to reduce the possibility of large-scale nuclear war restraint will back down to prepare damage to order. 3. Russia, China, not revisionist. Larson 19. China military says he has Putin annexed Crimea, muddled in elections. The action of China, Russia have common decided research statuses. Your powers including the lower status, the group to China's status code. Members of not group to have a positively distinctive identity and favorable comparison to any collective self-esteem lower. Size groups lash out the illegitimacy of the claims. Status states to receive less status. Take military action. Market card. Military action. 4. US-China wars unthinkable. Yada 23 competition wars unlikely both lose nuclear war. 1 thing, US and China agree on no nuclear war. Even in Ukraine, there's understanding nuclear will not be used. Both countries express desire and avoid confrontation and seek resolution through diplomatic means. 5. No prolific impact. Miller 22. Consequences of prolific have been benign. Countries stoke egos or deter. Allowing something wrong for decades. Of the dozens capable countries that consider ourselves to be adults and leaders. Appreciate drawbacks to caution the interest in our neighbors. Alarm is difficult for countries that took decades to Korea, Pakistan, alarmist position on cascades proven faulty. Countries that high bomb were run by monsters consider Stalin now. States making common cause with concerns. Countries against neighbors. Miscalculated defended the for 75 years. Nuclear nations take security very seriously. The Scapedas evidence goes affirmative. US dominance is causing international institutions and trade ties to atrophy, guaranteeing war. Interdependence does not solve US aggression. Inter-reality. Mutual evidence is also goes affirmative. It's not an equal thumb. Failure to stop Russia's invasion of Crimea, Georgia, wavering support of Ukraine, and Taiwan should trigger perceptions of abandonment. Star also goes affirmative because it does not say extinction. It says only 2 billion will die, and it says most, not all. The shutdown is that. 1. Biden will push plan bridge time to Biden's middle miles away from being African socialist. Biden's not leaders and more African futures. Yes, we plan 2. Do both politics not intrinsic. 3. Norm means is 3. Claim proper HICO 21 job guarantee for an ecological transition has meant for being resoundingly popular job guarantee. Imposed 69%. 4. Fiat solves plan passes with an overwhelming majority which solves backlash. 5. No decide shutdown is inevitable but has no impact and thumpers trade off. Reckless 1 2 warning shutdown could hit in a couple weeks. Johnson said he's done with the short-term bills. Too late for anything else to prevent a shutdown. The most likely scenario is a shutdown in late January. Shutdowns impacts short-term is usually reversed once the government reopens. Impact is minimal. Markets ignore shutdowns. Washington has been wrestling over a supplemental spending package that will involve one-time aid as well as money for the border. 6. Even extended shutdowns don't impact cyber. Rivers 19. Can you get the add-ons? The 35-day shutdown has based on very minimal effects on cybersecurity researchers. Study 128 federal agencies network security declined 1% to be recorded for shutdown. Patching cadence rose. No cyber impact. It's pacifying. Millennial 18 conflict. Cyber conflict is constrained threat. Inflation is rapid. Cyber attacks are limited severity, connected to traditional disagreements, and take shape at low-level campaigns rather than war. Safe to eliminate nature. Blowback between connection between infrastructure reality and weapon risk can be replicated and used back. Social science matters. Absent methods. The field is guesswork. Accidental nuclear war making the Earth makes Armageddon inevitable. J-20 chips up the plants when people author nuclear wars assured there's 100% certainty driven by MSC or BS. One heritage will learn to understand how dangerous capitalism is, profit strive nuclear strategy. I just mark it. David will send that card out.
Okay, good for cross.
Yeah.
You said Biden won't push the plan. The second argument before not intrinsic.
Do both. Wait,
Do both.
that was the second argument.
Do both.
Yeah, politics not intrinsic.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay. Reasons to reject the team condo per con.
Con or amendment.
Con counterplans. Is it just all con or limited con?
Amendment is a violation.
Fiat is an amendment. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Assurances.
And also agent counterplans.
And agent counterplans. Okay, sure. Assurances. What were the arguments between the Scoperdus indict and the what was after the Scoperdus indict?
The Mitchell indict.
Mitchell indict, and that was it. And then the Star indict?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about the Meany evidence. It's about socialism. The plan is not transition to socialism. Why does the aft result in a radical policy?
The Meany evidence says that left foreign policy, one that prioritizes ecological and social good above.
Where does it say ecological and social anything?
It says that U.S. forces protect the global environment from private chauvinist slave states or enemies of a social democratic global order. Degrowth is definitely in line with protecting the global environment and fighting against enemies of a social democratic global order.
Let's talk about this entire part. It says, one could imagine a scenario in which, quote, the U.S. forces went to war to protect the global environment. This is like the U.S. going on a climate crusade to save the environment from someone. How is this analogous to the aft?
It just says that, like the whole point of this article is that
the affirmative does not necessarily collapse hegemony, because for the same reason why degrowth is
Yeah.
is not related to the military, it does not have to affect the size or the footprint of the military.
Okay, sure.
So your
Why is this not a
assertion,
double term and hedge back?
because our argument is not that it
It's just like
increases.
defense, not a term.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Revisionism. Why does China want you? Why does China want Taiwan? Why did Russia leave?
Larson says that China militarized the SCS and has some interest in Taiwan because of its historical reasons, the century of humiliation. It also says that all they want is they want status, and they just want to be
They want
seen as, that's the Larson evidence says that they want
They
to be
want
seen.
status. That's what? Like, what is that? What is that status?
It says that the U.S. should reinforce efforts by Russia or China to achieve status through non-geopolitical areas instead of containment cooperation. And it is when the United States denies them status that they lash out. It says, quote, lower status groups will lash out at the illegitimacy of their status.
Russia. Why did they invade Ukraine?
Russia, Putin has said multiple times that the only reason he invaded Ukraine was because he was worried about NATO expansion.
Trusting Putin and like Russia.
Wait, so like who else would you trust? Like Russia has said themselves that.
Okay.
Yeah, like the whole reason he didn't invade Ukraine before, the only reason why he did so now is because NATO committed actions that they were worried about.
10. politics, and then first advantage, second advantage. Should be sent. I'm gonna set up and then we'll get going. Should be sent out. Okay.
Good?
Yeah.
Cool. Peninsula, good.
Yeah.
The Capitol solves the case that circumvents congressional opposition and amends the Constitution to ratify the Planet's amendment as Cooper responding to federal laws established 20. The Convention of Privileged Changes and Books law ratified by states convention treaties agrees the constitutional measure but several branches of the government can create laws to receive once the limited fiat. Limited fiat is good as fair real world modification. The amendment process obviously evidence proof to remain excluding the best mechanism always screws the negatives arbitrary is predictable as merchant 18. States limited convention there is a precedent that invention can be a single subject for 2/3 of elections. Historical and legal tests proof that scale of 15. Opponents argue convention has a limited spoil presence scholarship deep this method article of ability. The states are limited convention on a single topic to issues or to the capital and separates federal governments and expressly distributes the state action distributes legal 16. U.S. FTA has the three branches legislative, executive, judiciary powers on outside of the federal government. The separate states requires a federal possessor is married in Western 20. Relating its possessor, that's a voter makes you have a moving target robs that ground over the capital and fiat's federal actions, alternative state power that bypasses Congress and results in federal ratification. That's not a mandate of state action. So we see three do both links to politics and simultaneously stopping Congress from being distracted over the next few days. That also means the entire lead up to plan any horse shooting capital expenditure or legislative bargaining occurs prior to the capital passage and doing the plan alongside an amendment magnifies links and makes federal action look duplicative and like unnecessary. For sure. The next argument is about how it links to politics. No, the capital avoids politics. It bypasses all presidential involvement in the legislative process, putting the blame entirely on states that worse and links less by redirecting partisan bias. The argument doesn't apply. Our point is not that Concord is popular, but that it's an alternative mechanism for changing law without expenditure of scarce Senate floor time. Now, the next argument is the time frame per to the plan upon ratification is illegitimate. The capital never has to delay. All elements are immediate and contingent on fiat and state agreement. That makes the permanent transitive voting issue for negative ground and clash due to provides immediacy. Number 74. The answer is not primary. Must say legal professional should have must has legal parallels. Immediately they say certainty and right away signal deficits or analysis. Capital writes the plan. It's again a constitution. It requires a super majority of states and overcomes any amount of federal opposition. If that doesn't send a strong enough signal, nothing does. It's comparatively more certain. The capital behind the latches to federal law. Anyone behaving otherwise would breach the constitution, facing jail time, litigation. That's Cooper and Silent. Actual policy signal ways of filing the plan is illegal. Companies and countries will quickly get the message. Strongest norm. That's 1488. Amend the constitution for practical and symbolic reasons. Amendment of conscious reading of signal prevails for precedent legitimate. That should the most authoritative way possible. The amendment clears established policies and debate over the mechanism to stimulate Congress judicial and courts may be empowered to ensure that go back to delay. A strategy teams can prevent the capital and then the plan of using your tilling every neg position. B ground delay spikes at least to coordinate strategy. C limits regulate. Gives all commissions and recommend them all terms generating infinite advantages. Now the runaway stuff I will send this out after. No runaway. We fiat a limited convention that's legally binding and enforceable. That's Cooper. It's also normal means that's logical from one. Expert dismiss concerns about runaway research and past convention. Convention is literally impossible for one Spanish states can be referred to competition discuss single topics without branching to other subject. Article 5 rules are understood. There's never been a runaway that is fabricated. No historical merit of all. There evidence doesn't assume it's perceived as binding law. Only this is a relevant concern that worked their station card. This assumes a regular concon, not limited, which only means which does not mean their evidence does not say concon causes environmental changes causes environmental catastrophe because it's about ours is evidence is about a limited concon. Now go to politics. Cyber attacks outweigh magnitude escalation is guaranteed from false alarms and entanglement that rose deterrence and strategic stability, forcing nuclear lashouts, withdraws it, all blame for having great power. That's the clear evidence. We see one, the Biden stuff. It doesn't matter if Biden isn't pushing it, still Congress pushing the plan, which results in backlash. We see Tuesday intrinsicness. Intrinsicness is bad. Moves all dissent ground through, allowing infinite to AC counterplans. Same term plan has to pass through at least a restrictive means. Immediately prefer neg flash politics as core generic insulate from easy to be econ dissent. Legal and benefit states and education policies is key for debaters to engage real time issues through examining political political intricacies. The next argument is that it's not intrinsic to political capitalist finite priorities chair and off that's being used to topic 22. While the Party Senate Victoria's commitment to passing the bills as finite political capital in Congress has limited floor time, every party is competing competition right now. It's limited issues will trade off this 21. By increasing the political capitalism and when deciding which problems to tackle first, by which can lead it to Obama that has Obama spending political capital infrastructure. He realized a higher return by the body camp. He can't get sidetracked. The next argument, they see that the plan is popular. Wrong. The plan can be popular with most of America, but doesn't become close to answering the late one House GOP, regardless of actual solvency. GOP perceives the jobs guarantee as a little bit throwing trillions down the drain, triggering a political firestorm. House GOP alone will perceive the plan as conspirational attempt to impose socialism, especially given that it mysteriously passes in the middle of a contentious budget dispute. They hold the rest of the agenda hostage, ensuring prolonged shutdown. Reject their evidence. It's only about a jobs guarantee. Doesn't assume degrowth. It's also about a poll in Britain, not Congress. They definitely see the plan as ranked socialism straight 20. Advocates of job guarantee acknowledges difficult space in policies, politics, the left is as a neoliberal conspiracy to destroy the safety net of public rights, states that range socialism, extension of government, abandonment of free markets, neither side is willing to champion as an idea that has been around for generations. The next argument is, now they've dropped the uniqueness, the deal's coming down. Johnson and Schumer are close, but it's tenuous. Only continued bipartisanship can cause this passage. That's Roger 1-4. Their evidence is less recent, assumes government will reopen immediately, bounce back. Bipartisan deals nearly ready to everyone too. The court of spending was within reach. Johnson and Schumer continue hashtag deals are critical and move forward. The agreement can come together so soon that they agree until everything is agreed always applies. Top line's coming by the end of the week. That's Dorn 1-3. Negotiating terms for Johnson and Schumer hashtag top agreement deal on appropriations come together by the end of the week. If the momentum holds, I don't need to read more evidence because they haven't responded to the uniqueness question. The fiat solves no, it doesn't solve. They can fiat the plan happens, not that they can't fiat out of the consequences. Otherwise, it's a voting issue. They allow the act to always fiat out of distance. Never been a shutdown. Inevitable one. Well, it's a bolt from the clue. The bland, sudden nature shock senators and lobbies fearing Democrats and fellow GOP senators have gone unhinged. They'll drag their feet or demand draconian cuts and avoiding unrelated policy. Fights is crucial. This word in law 23. Leadership of negotiations were made a real good process. We're getting the closest source from the talks. They're moving on. We'll reach agreements about it. Cuts to be sent. We've been working on earnest every day. And then they say thumpers wrong, but it's budget top of the agenda. Stage 1-2. Congress is Treasury to do list. This is long, complement most urgent priorities of government shutdown on January 15th. The board doesn't thumb that's German 1-1. Which a handful of legislative days before the first funding deadline in 2 weeks in London. The February line. They found a floor time. The Senate for all this will be close to impossible. It will be impossible. The next argument is about extended shutdowns. One. This doesn't assume new budgets, even if it's about cyber. It doesn't assume how the new budget will be able to solve worse cyber collapse in the future, which is a greater internal length than their evidence. Their evidence is also the last argument is there's no defense. Lack of modernization makes the U.S. sitting adjusted. Adversaries are increasingly transitioning to offensive disciplinary tactics and will pass given an open window that's way safer. Even without large-scale attacks, the perception of weak security makes commanders uncertain, causing preemptive last round. And the slightest disruption. That's the clear evidence case. Growth sustainable, one impairs peak oil, population bumps, etc. All wrong. Two, innovation, growth creates a race to the top, and prevent collapse. Three, decoupling is absolute. We're getting more from less, that's right. Four, substitution and resource readiness, that's myth 21. Degrowthers have no idea how to measure resource use. Growth weight is absurd, somehow reach while others not. It's also to bring down into abundance. We have substitute for to one oil, you're more efficient. Five, cuteness of Ashenberg 20. Those who survive if you run through want to suspend avoiding catastrophe, they execute just or illustrated. The level of risk is not marked, the level of the optimal health rising standards lead. Public averting catastrophe, they will have no stopping growth, maybe free to the rate and leading a fatal catastrophe. Growth enables it, reducing risk humanity, unity of the technological catastrophe may be advanced enough to agree the means for destruction, but not enough to decreasing this. Six, actually skip superabundance, a framing issue for their there was warrant, so gut check, none pressures, growth entirely, two, no impact, ours outweigh. Now, yes, decoupling, yeah, they say decoupling is not absolute, yes, decoupling, it works, that was already above it, they say, actually, they saw J-Bone's paradox, it's wrong, it's McAfee 19. J-Bones was wrong, or wants to keep growing using the Earth's resources to not right into collision, prevent permanent elasticity of demand can change most fundamentals technological created with new technologies growth, decoupled resource consumption, the root of J-Bone's mistake is simple, and resources cost money, the thermodynamics is solved by innovation, which was above, but they didn't extend a war to it, so we get new answers. Now the warming defense, there's no impact of warming, it's gradual, models are way off, they just said our evidence is outdated, but hindcasting shows changes are far slower than forecast, sensational predictions failed for decades, worst case, it's not for centuries, mission by inevitable mitigation, that's the weighted evidence. There's also no disease impact. The trade-off between violence and potency means pandemics or lethal or kill off their hosts today. Their evidence is to assume that the risk is 0.1%. That was the order evidence. Now, AGI is impossible. One, hypothetical AI threats are completely exaggerated by hacks with no field experience nor data. Two, constraints emulation of human thinking like worth and trouble to be performed by its cause. Three, performance. AI is only superior in the objective. It's designed to cop. Four, nuclear outweighs its far more likely according to experts that makes AI worse. And there's also a dead end disproves limits that's field 20. If we look at literature, there are no limits. However, the discrepancy is striking pop is a driving force of belief expressions, new religion. I'll take my second breath. But no, yeah.
346.
Yeah. Let me send you that runaway card before we start cross, so I don't forget. That should be sent. I'm good for cross whenever you are.
You shut down this ad, the internal link defense. You made an argument about budgets, new budgets.
Yeah.
Which evidence says that there are new budgets for
So that
cybersecurity,
was-
and what threats does it solve?
Yeah. The Rivers evidence that you read is from 2019, and it assumes that, if, right, it says that extended shutdowns have no impact on cyber. We've made an argument about how the budgets that exist now are different from the ones that existed back then, which means that shutdowns don't really matter for cyber
Wait,
back
which
then, but since they're...
which card says that?
Yeah, all of the answer to the Thumper evidence as well as the uniqueness evidence says that budgets is a top priority and anything else is much
Wait, and they
worse.
say that there's cyber funding?
Huh?
Which card specifically
No.
says
The
this?
question is not about cyber funding. The argument that you have made, the Rivers evidence, says that shutdowns had no impact on cyber. Our evidence is specifically indicative about how the budgets, they're important. The budgets that Congress is discussing right now, those are important because otherwise, if the government shuts down, does not discuss these budgets, it could have more consequences to the cyber that exists.
Wait, which card says that? It has more consequences on cyber?
Yeah, I would say that the Thumper evidence talks about how budgets are the top priority right now, which means
I
that-
controlled F cyber, and the only card that says cyber is the answer to the impact.
No, but it doesn't need to say cyber. The argument is that budgets are important right now since they're top priority. That's necessary.
To cybersecurity? I don't think any card says that. I guess the impact to cybersecurity, like you said an argument about lash out. How does that occur? Will the United States just first strike our adversaries?
No, we said that the perception of weak security, absent strong cyber systems, makes commanders uncertain, which causes preemptive lash out that occurs at the slightest disruption.
Oh, so the U.S. will invade other countries, or
No, it's the fact about that the lack of modernization makes the U.S. look weak, which means that adversaries will want to escalate against us.
and how does that cause extinction? They've
Yeah.
already conducted cyber attacks.
If we don't have modernization, adversaries will see us as weak, and even if there's not large-scale attacks, the perception of weak security makes commanders uncertain.
I'm just
which
uncertain. How does that get to nuclear war? Because countries have already
Yeah,
conducted
that's the
lots of
whole.
cyber attacks.
The
against
Claire
us.
evidence talks about preemptive lash out.
Oh, so they'll lash out with nukes?
Yes, it's preemptive lash out because they'll see as uncertain, and then they will lash out.
Yeah. Wait, they as in our adversaries.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wait, I'm so confused. How does that make any sense? So
What do you mean?
we have a weak cybersecurity, so they'll first strike us with nukes.
Right, we have weak cybersecurity. So absent the bill, or if a shutdown happens, that means that there's a lack of modernization that occurs. That
So they
means
first
that
strike us with nukes.
adversaries will see it as an open window to attack the United States, which leads to lash out.
The wonder was sent. T income tax. I think that's where condo was. But wherever condo is, if it's not there. Death K. Advantage counterclaim. Insurance dispatch. Degrowth advantage. Transition.
Yeah, just download it.
Sure.
Okay, I'm good with there.
Okay. This way.
We're good.
Condo's gonna be get what we did. 1 neck flex plan, Vegas, tiny absence, sandbagging, require testing. This mode kills by negative, letting the neck choose to block 2, arbitrary non-rest theory is unpredictable in regards to 3, innovation, fallback shots, encourage new arguments, turning research 4, input processing hard. 1 sees 4, sufficiency and best answers, fostering critical thinking, defense 1, utility, advocacies, peak and value, then become liabilities, 2, skew inevitability, dissent, B, 3, reasonability, reject the advocacies, not the team, dispose bad, 1, definition, consensus, none makes it untenable, 2, force, purpose, process, ones, and roll, peace, planks, 3, 3, illogical, proving the plan, can one, abs, not prove the plan is good, key to predictability, portable skills, death. Concede the permutation not going for, perf, conservation, reject the argument, not the team, advantage 1. Concede the permutation, reject the argument, not the team, assurance. They have offensive, no defense. We read 5 impact cards for a reason, and they dropped most of them. The dissat outweighs the magnitude decline in U.S. credibility. Cascades for our global hotspots, green list, revisionist aggression, and nuclear miscount. Ukraine, Taiwan, the SES, and the Middle East will all erupt as digital, independently strong economic performance. Winds attack, arms race, hypersonics, orbital, autonomous weapons are all unique triggers that stop us. There are flashpoints in Central Europe. Asia each rapidly goes nuclear decline 19, and the pocket war face following nuclear sin. Launch media for the example in Europe competition between Russia and Central Europe, US, and Chinese will say Asia both go really with counter-species, even level attack as a around escalation of leaders in this country. Leads to overreaction to Turkey, Germany, and attacks leads to major conflict, nuclear war. Israel and Taiwan are watching the last shot initial time in the integrity in Central Europe, Israel, Turkey, and other parts of the globe in Israel. And Taiwan losing water relation in Central Europe, and because of reliability, should promise to see US for sharing their value on security. American security levels useful. World Empires that reassured to, which explodes into World War III following 19, likely flashpoints to World War III. Israel might use destruction, no have water, and nations dominating their time of the US, Russia and Europe use sharing some of their religions and precarious, so that in Central escalation will lead to military provide the spark for the next war. 2AC want us to know like the plan collapses. And the alliance commitments to Germany want to transfer the perception of US and China overtaking the US in the race for growth versus alliance. The allies away from the US is that's coppered us. 2 is Article 2 that requires economic collaboration means the plan breaks NATO. Chip is 22 deepening economic relations key allies to share economic security outlook. NATO closer economic collaboration independently extinction finishing 19 Russia and the integration of Mexico. Chip different allies territory backed by American territory including overseas. Georgia, Ukraine, the Baltic history, and then Hitler, no good, the Hussein, and the large conflict increase. American military political economic trouble and the China trouble sponsored by the North American fighting. ISIS trade require NATO and division for the Europe use online substitutes and the keep on no leadership and fly published with national issue European alliance nation for the fourth Chinese and neutral SES Taiwan Central Asia NATO comes to LAO NATO is the keystone multi structure the decades of these mini sucks. It's not about degrowth but a ludicrous climate crusade that would never happen. Never happen even if the market collapses in the long term. It's completely irrelevant. It is about America's ideological not the actual state of the economy. Hedge bad primacy outweighs its interests. In crisis sets norms of attack and prevents nuke proliferation terror that spreads. It sets norms for transnational co-op that checks a laundry list of access to rest and ensures the entire 1EC Academy 20 US the Americans will come to Jewish Institute of Democracy which says that introducing the ability to shape norms that part of the new climate the pandemic financial crisis for life fails for efficient automation and other people's despite false and other consequences in lower national cooperative world of security and law orders the unique level of wars clash software action shortcomings propelling the person achievements and cooperative known Japan Europe and American faster growth the managed crisis swing is highlighted to say nothing 283 is revisionism it's wrong versus China is imperialist official statements overtake the US aggression in Taiwan the SKSN rapid modernization proof 2 statistics generally some leaders of statistics provide support as China power grows like the confidence is a significant way off. So fearless, are you in China will time to use and then the nations are eating equal in Asia, fearless or right growth, distinct less stability, power, that country more sort of 3 predictive accuracy, Denmark 20, China with damage, down with the order of like the Pacific costs of the domains and location chief because the order that will change because you see expression. You claim to know I love the SCS and then the Taiwan and Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia and Brunei artificial island that account for 95% of all land and capable Germany. Based in law, Russia is also a revisionist with the Johnson 22 realist. Not for basic answers against Russia, why Russia invaded Ukraine relative to one structural variant of the various are reliving the help to those are actually Ukraine classical realism, the social construction of radio classical realism, and incorporating investigative analysis of Ukraine, eventually demonstrate that the great power competition is the base of back forefront realism. Nick Dominara Larson is next, as China and Russia want to be quote great powers and challenges well. Also doesn't assume Ukraine or new modernization. From its 2019, the China war defense does not assume total collapse of assurance, causing instant lash out its war, likely in causing extinction, while maintaining PRC challenge the US supremacy replace the use of international order and security PRC seeks to overwhelm nation states of governance, the address of climate inequality, the economic China is LAO is Islamist belief that failing which splicing the rise of upending the West Valley and NBC will use other things war until we give the power will not send someone to the world unless China resolution. These are now challenge pro-lift defense conceded not going forward. We have a bunch of other external impacts. Copernicus indicts one this Copernicus going to be highlighting one. It says nothing. It's just treating China as an enemy. 2 does not say U.S. dominance is bad. Obviously, adversaries have increased their capabilities along with the U.S. 3 does not tie quote lack of arms control to growth and arms control is impossible if you win. Revisionism, Mandelbaum indict. 1 cards about that disprove. 2 is since China, Russia, and China won't work together. Not they're not revisionist. That Mitchell indict. It's not thumped. 1 scope of the length. None of those crash the economy. 2 net uniqueness. No evidence assume assurance is low. So presume it's not the breakdown. New war cause extinction. 1 radiation makes reproduction survival impossible. 2 no rain out. Black carbon blocks up the sun. 3 accurate revives all cross extinction. Term charges and resource source. That's Star 4 nuclear tornado. Star 15 NATO Moscow nuclear strike. Global nuclear war down. The nuclear winter market nuclear winter. The advantage.
Say the J evidence is awful. It's not
Oh,
plausible.
yeah, sorry. The J evidence is bad. It's not causal to growth. And throw it out. He didn't even graduate high school. Degrowth. Misalignment is fake. Definition of pure hyperbole is impossible because the reach super intelligence is a loss of computation. AI lacks theory of mind, sense of reasoning. That's Romero.
Yeah. charged enough? I'm kind of running out.
I'm at 8%.
Well,
Yeah, my computer's kind of shit.
close?
You've been plugged in the whole way. You're 8%. What the?
I don't know if mine's gonna reach this far. Or is it? Do you want to plug into that because then because yours is longer.
Wait, is that upstairs?
Like that outlet because yours is longer.
I'm at like 50.
Okay. No. Oh.
Oh, wait. That's not.
Here.
Unplug mine.
Yeah. Okay.
There's an outlet right here.
That's okay. I think
Okay.
I can switch with Cyrus after I'm done. Let me open the cards.
Degrowth. Con. Assurance. Then politics. Alright. Are we all good?
Mm-hmm.
Conceived climate change and disease defense are not going for it. The AI defense was believed the cause of extinction because they try to maximize profit. The consensus of scientists is that there will be misalignment now because AI is a black box, which means that we cannot regulate it in the status quo. Con. They didn't really answer the argument that con spurs precedence for future con-cons in the future. There's no distinction between a limited and a regular con because our argument is just that any kind of con spurs the precedence for future con-cons. Those con-cons will be used to set bad policies that cause environmental degradation. Climate change defense does not apply because these are things like pollution, biodiversity collapse that culminates in extinction. Assurance. The clear evidence is just a cyber impact incident rehighlighting, which will be answered on the other disadvantage. The Israel scenario is wrong because it's thumped by Gaza, and the newer Mitchell evidence says it's not a weaker thump. It says that Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan are not being committed to now, and says that those things should have already caused a lack of assurance now. The Taiwan scenario, there's no Taiwan invasion, only in 23, while America says the prospect of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. China does not have the capability. Other options are more effective, likely no war, and a number escalate Bush and House. 23 risk of wars, no Taiwan says we're not going to do anything. I would trigger a PRC attack. Card attack. It's saying that hegemony is bad. First is status denial, U.S. status denial, fuel reservationism and nationalism. Only unique to progression in the world of hegemony. Their junk evidence goes affirmative because it says that China only tries to counteract America in its near neighborhood, which means that if America retrenches, there's no chance of conflict. Their next card is also about them trying to secure islands in the SCS, which obviously the plan solves. Century accumulation explains Chinese wishes of security into the local neighborhood. Russia aggression happens only after status denial. Georgia and Ukraine in response to the threat of NATO accession after promises to want to expand there. One and out evidence does not cite empiric, so error negative, error affirmative, that's Larson, Swain, and their Mandelbaum evidence is linked to their interdependence links. U.S. dominance is decreasing trade, proven by U.S. using its economic dominance to sanction China, withdrawal from WHO and arms control, and use of Security Council resolutions to intervene in other countries. That's sabotage, restraint, turn transition with telephone. 18. Peaceful change in when the hegemon has competence that changes the level because it acts level through economic capabilities. Hegemons experience high can conclude that it translates level economic growth can reach a certain 50 when hegemons leadership calculates that it lacks growth. They can prove resistance fuel US revisionism. Ross 22. Full-scale war would be catastrophe, would be infinitely powerful to prevent escalation of US aggression. Before that, when the US goes strong, its policy is aggressive, when it goes weak, it becomes peace-loving. After World War II, the US considers itself strong to carry out Korea, isolate China. Due to Vietnam, the US suffered defeats, turned to less aggressive policies symbolized Nixon's visit Deltante with USSR, have recovered US returns aggressive policy under Reagan. 2007 after the blow, as the US began to emphasize cooperation, multi-democratic cooperation. Imperial China and Russia are non-revisionists. Chan 21. During the 70s, the US acquired vast territory. Germany's acquisition of Ukraine by comparison China's largest number of borders. It's not only all favorable to its neighbors, such as the maritime disputes, but the US mined Nicaragua also tried to freedom while quarantining Cuba. China has not fired a single bullet in 30 years. By contrast, even under peaceful Obama, 26,000 bombs in 70 countries in 2016. There is no risk of a leak. None of the cards about degrowth, they've all been re-highlighted to say that it's been happening now, that there's decline now, and linked to it. They've dropped the modeling advantage, so China becomes our allies, Russia becomes our allies, and they've dropped the lockdown evidence that says it forces Russian and Chinese slowdown, which means they can't relatively rise against us. The one and only Chivas evidence goes affirmative. It says that alliance economics is inevitable. And Trump, the link is about America first, which Trump and Biden's protectionist policies trigger. Insert a reality. They conceded that economic growth is unsustainable. Global collapse of trade, accumulation of debt, economic depression in China, climate change, Israel war, and collapse of innovation guarantee total global economic collapse as Sojiva, Greece to Smil and IMT. There's zero uniqueness. Scopcast is titled The Decline of US Power. It is about why US economic and technological growth is inevitably overtaken by Russia and China. Insert the rehighlighting. Their card also says that COVID brought US decline, which is their highlighting. And the 1C branch evidence says it's completely non-unique. It says that credibility is dead now due to a lot of things that Trump and other presidents have done. Politics. Cyber warfare is good. It pacifies international response by giving a non-violent means to escalate disagreements, to offer issues of reverse engineering fix that checks in the banks, true reality, statistical analysis, psychosis, of military officers find the net reduction of violence, counterintuitively enhances crisis stability. They do not read any more cards, which means it's an easy at-ballot crisis stability, reverse nuclear war, Russell 9, stability in the region undermined by interest, lack of community escalates happen on purpose or miscalculation, the assumption attack is to use of nuclear weapons. Asymmetries increase probability of war escalation happen quickly, disaster for the entire world, solves assurance, reduces risk of war with Russia and China, solves cyber attacks bad. The warrant is about the fog of war, which we've linked to. Cyber attacks are key to enhance precision and crisis bargaining. Rapkin 17 limits cyber attacks and not taking into account unforeseen consequences. Cyber weapons not need not inflict unnecessary suffering out of proportion to the military advantages. These include a precision, force, and they might reduce death. The impact is stub. There's only a risk of alpha offense. 2NC explanation was last shot. Would never happen. Target 18. No, the US won't respond to cyber attack with nukes. It's very, very remote possibility. Idea US nuclear response to cyber is fundamentally not just cyber unlikely killing people to provoke response attacks, but even in context of actual fighting, worst attack combat systems will be likely to be threshold for any nuke. It's non-violent in French wars. In the Big E14 cyber war is good for peace. Has cyber war not been available, Israel or even the United States would have tried to destroy it. None in the past used the air raids. Violence might have begotten violence in return without confidence cyber war would have been deactivated. Moto that deactivated.
Devin forgot to say, I think he marked a card and he forgot to say he was marking it. Yeah, that was
Really? My bad.
I also, can you send those cards as well?
Yeah.
They-
Wait, which card did I not mark?
It was a Chan card. Devin marked a Chan card at 7 countries in 2016.
Yes.
I'll wait for those cards and then start.
assurances, politics, peace. Can I stand then?
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, is everyone good?
Yeah.
Great. Where did I just put my flow somewhere. Oh, these are your The only question to determine is the hedge bad and hedge good debate, but they've dropped so much on why hedge hegemony is good, which will be later on the flow, which means that you cannot vote affirmative assurances that weigh everything. They've dropped credibility theory from the Mitchell evidence, means the plan causes allies to freak out and incite nuclear wars, and adversaries will be emboldened in every global hotspot. Ukraine, Taiwan, the SES, and Baltics will all fall prey to invasion because Russia and China will perceive the U.S. as weak. The U.S. will be drawn in, sparking all-out nuclear war that outweighs the case on time frame. Degrowth also means we lose on the tech race, starting to arm race with hypersonic space and cyber weapons, which all causes extinction and ripples across power vectors as Eurasia, Latin America, etc., which is a scupper duck set. It's all dropped extinction scenarios that outweighs their returns. Our clear evidence indicates that there's tons of hotspots that instantly go global. U.S. and China, Russia, and the Asia-Pacific or Central Europe will cause rapid nuclear war for miscalculation. The clear highlight is non-responsive. It's about a hypothetical nuclear with Russia, and it's the reason it escalates. Independently, the plan breaks out of commitments to Article 2 of NATO, which requires us to maintain economic growth, which destroys the treaty because the U.S. is key to effectiveness. They drop the impact collapse of NATO and boldest Russia start wars with Russia, tears apart the liberal order and causes extinction from a slew of scenarios for nuclear war. Thus, Benishak means I can lose the rest of the dissent and still win. Now, they say assurance is non-unique to your thought. They drop the scope of the link argument. Only a lack of economic strength can freak allies out. Now, hedge is good. Multiple drop warrants. One, hard power. It's good and sustainable. Allows the U.S. to suppress rogue states where it deters revisionist powers. It has empirically resulted in the longest era of peace, even if the U.S. has intervened in proxy conflicts. We haven't had a world war in the era of hegemony. That's a brand's evidence. Two, transnational cooperation allows the LIO to flourish, capping all conflict through diplomacy and interdependence, avoiding extinction from democratic backsliding, terrorism, proliferation, pandemic, and extended rogue technology. That's the Eigenberry evidence that turns the entirety of the apps. The Ross evidence is awful. It's from a director of economic policy and is not comparative. Just says that the U.S. has been bad. Not a reason China and Russia are worse. The Telefero evidence, the dissent is not about transition wars, i.e. the U.S. lashing out from a lack of hegemony, but rather the perception by other actors. Now, the status, they say status now, it's disproven by revisionism below. China's revisionist means try or die for deterrence. One, empirics, they want to overtake the U.S. is proven by aggression against Taiwan, modernization of the SES, and expanding their nuclear arsenal. Two, statistics are Zheng and Li evidence. It's a statistical study of Chinese foreign policy that confirms it's in line with offensive realism. Zheng does not go affirmative. It's specific about realism and why they would be a revisionist. Three, predictive accuracy. They're expanding in the Indo-Pacific divine international law and will challenge any country in their way. All are in line with revisionism. That's Denmark. Four, determination. They drop the weighing evidence that China wants to, quote, tear apart the peace of Westphalia, and they drop that the rise of China will destroy government, which represents cooperating over existential risk. The U.S. will lash out, causing nuclear war with methods of mass destruction. Now, Russia is definitely a revisionist. Putin thinks he's a new Peter the Great, annexed Georgia, Crimea, etc. When NATO explicitly tried to appease him, that's our evidence, which is the only evidence that post-states Ukraine. Their evidence is all speculation, and the Chan evidence is awful. Just as the U.S. has done bad stuff, China and Russia are worse, and there's no terminal impact to any of this. It's also about Obama, who's out of office. Now, the link debate. The links were very mishandled. The plan collapses alliance commitments and hegemony. The perception of China overtaking the U.S. in race for growth forces allies to turn away from a U.S. that's a scofferness. Evidence our allies freak out when we change our ideology and move away from hedge because it's been part of the system. It's been part of the system. So the Scalperdice Indictment is totally wrong. Even if it might say that there is decline of U.S. power, the plan is what causes lash out to occur. This is our uniqueness claim that even though there is decline now, our commitments have allowed us to still stay powerful. powerful, things that move us away from ideologies like the plan are what causes the decline and immediate lash out. Now the Chivas link turn is wrong. They've not made an argument or extended why allies would have the incentive to follow on to degrowth. They've simply asserted that dropping Marlins means because allies and forces slowdowns. But this is exactly what the Scoppertus evidence proves, that allies would not follow down because it frees down more, because it's a move away from the sort of commitments that we've already had. They would not have the incentive to follow on because it disrupts everything that the U.S. has abided by for years. The one in our Chivas highlight about it being inevitable, that's totally out of context. It is not. It just pulls random lines, but it does not say. It does not talk about it does not actually talk about the uppers. Now the sustainability does not take out the link. They drop the 1AR argument that only a sudden deliberate collapse of growth can trigger the link. Politics. Concede the impact is thumped. It's disproved by, quote, 7 countries in 2016 means the plan cannot collapse cybersecurity attacks if what happened in the past. Cyber wars have happened, so they can't be pacifying. This was also new in the 1AR, the TOEC only read defense, so you should strike the brand new impact term. Case. No AI impact, they definitely cannot go for this when they drop every single piece of defense that we've read. AGI is impossible. 1, hypothetical. AI threats are completely exaggerated by hacks with no field expertise, no data. 2, constraints, emulations of human thinking like growth orientation will be performed by cost. 3, performance. AI is only superior and the objective is designed to accomplish. 4, nuclear war outweighs its form more likely. According to expert consensus, makes AI worse. The misalignment was also totally fake, which means they cannot go for this even if it was quick in the 1 and R.
239.
Here, I'm just gonna go over it.
Okay. Or I can try to plug it in that one. Well, what happened? Wait, why doesn't that work?
Well, this new thing's very short.
I think it works. Are you sure?
Yeah. Let me just go sit. Wait, where is the?
I might be behind the chair. Oh yeah, it's behind the chair.
Let me go outside. I'll just sit back here.
Okay.
Shut down this side, assurance this side.
Cyber attacks are good because of crisis stability. It's a non-violent means to maintain strategic stability, and international actors historically use it to prevent the escalation and to reduce the chance of hot wars that go nuclear. That's the Russell evidence. It specifically says that only cyber attacks and strategic crisis stability is able to avert, quote, nuclear war, end quote, which means that you know that it guarantees extinction. They conceded that it solves the assurance this had, because the Valiano evidence says that cyber attacks are an outlet for aggressive actors like Russia and China, rather including our allies as well. Rather than turning to conventional means to attack us, they'll be able to rely on cyber attacks to attack us instead in the event that we shut down, which means that they will not have to go to a hot war, which solves all of their offense. They've considered this argument, which zeroes the risk of disadvantage. The only two arguments they extended was one, Thumper. They try to concede a Thumper, but our argument is simply that cyber attacks have happened in the past. These cyber attacks have not caused nuclear conflict. The only thing they've done is create peace, and only the Rafiki evidence, the Valiano evidence, and the Russell evidence explains why these cyber attacks were pacifying, why they don't cause conflict, and it was a defensive argument to their impact on the reason why our offense is non-unique. They say that the impact was new in the 1 year, but the 3C tag was, quote, no cyber impact, and it's pacifying. That obviously is offense, which means that it's a certain. Any risk of defense, we win on the assurance this had is a reason to vote affirmative. The global framing issue is that there's no uniqueness for any of the arguments, and they have no explanation for why degrowth is any different from any of past recessions like 08, COVID, and the Great Depression, which all should have triggered the links. They've conceded too many realities to go for this, and their evidence is all decisively affirmative. The Mandelbaum evidence explains why things like a decline in trade, why sanctions, why past conflicts in Georgia and Ukraine should have triggered a collapse in the LAO and a collapse in American leadership and assurance. The Skapidas evidence explains why a decline in WTO and UN organizing as well as arms racing is already causing the United States trade ties to atrophy, and how this is already going to cause global economic shocks that reverberate globally. They have not read a single uniqueness evidence that postdates any of this or that goes the other way. They've considered realities of we've also had the Chivas evidence to explain why things like protectionism, why trade barriers, and why other forms of unsustainable practices are on the up and up now. And the articles of all of these cards conclude affirmative. They are both they're all decisively non-unique, which proves that the disadvantage is non-unique, and second, that there's no uniqueness for any of the arguments, because there's no unique reason why degrowth causes transition or causes a hegemony to collapse. They've also extended that growth is unsustainable broadly because things like global unsustainable practices and which they've conceded from the 1AC are reasons why global shocks are inevitable. There's no unique reason why degrowth is separate from any of this, and none of their link evidence makes a delineation, which means that you're certain that the disadvantage is not unique, and there's no link uniqueness. Now, the U.S. Russia and China are not revisionists. China hasn't shot a single bullet in 30 years, settled nearly all its land borders favorably to its neighbors, and engages in international organization. Their cards all cite maritime disputes, but the U.S. is worse. They mined Nicaragua's ports, blockaded Cuba, and hadn't signed on to the UNCLOS, and it's excusable because it's just trying to maintain security in the neighborhood, not globally. The U.S. is revisionist. U.S. territorial acquisitions were larger than Nazi Germany. Obama, the most peaceful president, dropped 26,000 bombs on 7 countries in 1 year, and Biden has continued to do the same. There are two conceded implications. One, retrenchment stops any impact. Their cards are about Russia and Chinese revisionist tendencies in the near abroad and East Asia, Ukraine, and Taiwan, which retrenchment means that we won't get drawn into. Two, turns interdependence and the LAO scenario. This Skapidas card says U.S. dominance is increasing trade sanctions, pulling out of international organizations, and the U.S. has more vetoes on the Security Council than which is supported by the Ross and Chen evidence. Russia is not revisionist. They merely listed 3 countries they invaded but dropped the 1-year explanation and the Ross and Larson evidence that those only happened when status was denied. Our evidence does assume Ukraine, and says that prior to Ukraine, Russia begged for a written statement of stopping NATO expansion, which NATO did not do. That would be like if Russia expanded to Mexico and the United States was not worried about it and did not invade Mexico to fight back. They've also conceded that Georgia and Crimea also occurred because Clinton promised not an inch east, but still did so. There's no independent tech leadership impact because the no-link argument is so very persuasive. They've considered that a U.S. recession forces China and Russia to recede as well, which means that they will not be able to develop technology. They have not read evidence that Russia and China have the necessary economic growth to maintain such tech race, or that any of this will cause extinction. Additionally, all the revisionism defense applies to all of their credibility theory impacts, because it's a reason why none of that, because if Russia and China are not revisionist and not aggressive, then the plan is merely mixed up system less violent and reduces violence.
Good debate.
Good bit.
You want for adoption?
No. He
This is messy. Give me 20 seconds and I'll let you know. I'm gonna see if I can. Sorry, I usually try to build my own card doc, but if it is,
Oh,
you know what? Yeah,
okay.
send me a card doc. Be honest about what you extended.
Yeah.
I will also double check that. You'll save me some time. Thank you.
Here, I can.
I got it. I just have to copy and paste stuff.
I'll be faster.
No.
I didn't read it.
You did this one.
I didn't read it.
Which one?
The second.
This one?
I read that one. And the name.
Yeah. So what are you doing?
Just,
This?
I didn't read the second card.
This?
But also the name.
Westwood wiped out. Then like, what? Westwood what to wipe out?
They're both called chills.
Wait, what? You said you read it.
No. I said I was the third thing and not the second.
Oh, not the thing.
Not that.
Do you have Kodak consent?
Google clusters? GIFs?
Sorry, what?
Just GIFs. Thanks for coming to turn.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Kevin on the way.
Devin, I
Devin.
messaged him. He said, okay.
Dude, middle of this debate, I was like, I finally figured out who's who, and then I still flipped it.
I always ask them every
I
time
feel like your
before I
guys'
assign
hair
students.
is different and like
It is
face
different.
structure.
Yeah.
That's- Wait, which one?
Sigmar's empty.
I'm really sorry.
It's okay. Did you say St. Mark's lost?
Yeah, Sigmar's empty lost.
Okay.
Taboo.
No fear.
Oh, okay. Who's the judge?
Shantae.
I want to see Shantae. I haven't seen her yet.
Did you change your flight?
No. But
Do it.
4 minutes ago, yeah, I'll be
4
there.
minutes ago. Is everyone good?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to preface by saying this is obviously an exceptionally good debate. Maybe one of the best and the closest debates I've judged in several years. I gave some heinously high speaker points. If any of you are not top speaker, it is not because of me. Very close. I voted negative. I want to start by saying that I think a significant part of the 2AR's like vote AF, we outweigh their offense is hinged on a cyber impact turn that I just think is new. We can spend a little time on this. We can spend a lot of time explaining why I think it's new. I think at this point in the judging community, I might be further. I don't know if it's like the right or the left. I'm further to one end in terms of 1AR is not a constructive. I go through this 2AC. Your cards are about impact turns. One of them is kind of moderately tagged as impact turns, just like it's pacifying. This card is not an impact turn. It compares like limited cyber attacks with more expansive cyber attacks. It's like they would err on the side of limited cyber attacks and not expansive cyber attacks because the expansive one would be really dangerous. So it's defense for why a cyber attack wouldn't escalate within cyber, not an argument that cyber would be a substitute for other kinetic warfare and therefore would trade off and prevent kinetic warfare. I think if you think by the way, if you think the 2AC has impact turn and therefore the 1AR gets the impact turn, then you would have double turned because the 2AC is read a card. So you skip the card, it's like shutdown bill won't pass, but you read a card that says like it's inevitable, and this card isn't like cyber attacks inevitable. It's like government shutdown probably inevitable at the end of January. So you've actually read, despite the 2NC saying you dropped uniqueness, you've read a card that says that this bill won't pass and that government funding won't fully get done, and then you read a link turn card, and then you've read what I think is impact defense that then turns into impact turns to 1AR. So then the question just becomes, can the 2AC like non-unique link turn and then jettison it and then convert impact defense to impact turns by justifying it as like 2NC said some new stuff. So we get to, and I think I'm just much more conservative than where judges are today on this. I wonder if this is the reason why the 2NR does not go for politics and con because I thought that the neg was probably further ahead on that for this reason. Obviously, if I think this is new, then this largely takes out the AF's answers to the politics DA. I thought con probably solves the AF, and so that would have been, I don't want to say a crush, I didn't like read the relative cards, but I thought that would have been fairly decisive. As a result, the remaining sources of possible AF offense don't come from the AGIK stuff because it's not in the 2AR. It does not come from the cyber impact turn because I don't think you get it. It would have to come from, like, there's a larger chance that US hedge is bad than US hedge is good. And I think it's more likely that US hedge is stabilizing than destabilizing. I thought this was really close, and I genuinely did not make a decision in my head about this until like 2 minutes before decision time. I think you're right that there are a lot of thumpers to the link. The 2 minutes of this 2AR spent on thumpers. I think all these thumpers are relatively small in comparison to the size of the AF. But differently, I think you have to dispute the size of the link to the AF and not just go for thumpers in the SQO, right? So you've got reasons why we've gone through various waves of, let's say, protectionist pressures. And when Russia invaded Georgia, the US, many allies thought the US didn't quite do enough. There's lots of, like, in the grand scheme of things, relatively ticky-tacky reasons why the U.S. has not been a perfect ally, why the U.S. has sometimes screwed over allies economically, sometimes maybe abandoned them to a certain degree militarily, or could have done more if it didn't do more. The app is a pretty big radical shift away from current U.S. certainly economic. I mean, it's like a near 180 shift away from U.S. current economic posture. It therefore probably is a pretty radical shift away on military posture. I get that the app doesn't abandon the military entirely, but the app would probably do a series of radical things in the military as well. It just does a thing that is much, much larger than the size of these numbers. And their link argument isn't that like the brink is now and any next tiny thing caused a link, but just like, come on, the app is a massive abandonment in 180 on US economic policy and likely a lot of US foreign policy as well. There are some evidence it's like part of the NATO treaty requires us to also economically and not just militarily cooperate with the NATO allies, so they would perceive an abandonment in economic growth as also an abandonment part of our NATO treaty obligation, so it would trigger the NATO portion of it. There's just reasons why basically it's like the link is very large, and so it's fairly insulated from relatively smaller numbers. The revisions debate, I genuinely thought this was a toss-up. I don't know if any of you thought this was decisive. I thought the evidence set read by both teams was sufficiently good. I thought that indites were okay. I couldn't really conclusively say who's right or who's wrong. Everyone's authors disagree with other authors. The neg has some ev that's like based on a bunch of stats. I tend to be pretty good for stats. So I thought that was pretty good neg ev. The app ev sounds really good. It's like when people say they're revisionist, they're wrong, here's the right way to interpret it. It didn't seem like either team was, I think, decisively ahead. I sort of looked for a way out that could conclude after neg here. I couldn't really find it. The most important thing for me here is sort of a meta-level framing argument that the 2NR said, which is that I think the app's evidence is that, so your offense then comes from these countries are not revisionist, but we do know that the US is revisionist, and therefore your offense is like, if we maintain US growth, the US starts a war. I think they're right that your evidence says the US has also been aggressive. They've done a lot of things that are equally as bad, or they're sort of hypocritical the way that they criticize other actors as being revisionist, but they've done the same things. They've vetoed lots of Security Council resolutions. They've fired bullets, done all those other things. But these are not reasons why a Russia-China world order would be better, and they're also not really reasons why current U.S. escalatory aggression escalates. There's just a big picture issue, which is like U.S. has pursued hedge, seems like largely successfully, although maybe less successful in the last couple of years, for decades now, and that has not caused nuclear war. They've done so through, according to your authors, fairly revisionist means, or certainly hypocritical means. None of those have escalated. I'm much more confident that maintaining that posture means that the U.S. continues to be a hypocrite. That's lots of small aggressive things, but I'm less clear about what is the particular scenario for escalation if we do anything that kind of maintains that posture. Just that the U.S. is equally revisionist. That portion doesn't refute that China and Russia are not revisionist. The framing that you go for, which is like status denial, is just about their particular reasons. I don't think quite, even if that was true, it doesn't quite answer DA, because their argument is that, let's say if China is just concerned about its sphere of influence, they are aggressive within their sphere, but they are not global expansionists. The DA is like countries like Japan and South Korea that have alliance treaty obligations with the US, they would feel a sense of abandonment. Either the Chinese would act aggressively towards them, or they would act aggressively towards China as a response to compensate for the US abandoning them. Those things would escalate, and no one has made an argument that the results the app is that it ends the treaty obligations, the US would get drawn in. So the only question is, do those hotspots cause war? And it seems like in the SQO they don't, despite lots of bad shit that the US does. And there's a significant chance that they would, even if China doesn't expand, let's say, to like Africa or South America, just Chinese sphere of influence status pursuit, in Asia combined with existing treaty obligations means it's much more likely that those hotspots escalate in the world of the app, which does a very large link, and so it abandons the SQO. Same thing kind of with NATO, Russia, Ukraine, etc. I feel a little bit more certain that moving away from the SQO has particular impacts than maintaining the SQO, where there's kind of an indefinite timeline. I'm just not sure why, if you're right about the link, that it is empirically denied and dumped because of the last 50, 60 years, I'm sort of also uncertain why the remaining offense that you go for, which is just US revisions with this comparatively worse, isn't sort of also empirically denied from like a nuclear escalation standpoint by the last 50, 60 years, because all these reasons that your authors list are also things that should have caused the impact trend that you go for, and they haven't. And so I'm a little bit more certain that the neg is probably going to win net offense here than the affirmative will. The last question I have, and this is maybe I don't know if it's as close as I came to an AF ballot, but this is where I think if you did a redo for me, this should be the focal point instead of this like thumper stuff. Is does the AF if it transitions China and Russia away from growth, do so quickly enough before the link is triggered and therefore it solves revisionism? I'm not sure. This just wasn't really a focus of the 2AR. There was a line or two in the 2AR that's like, look, we solved modeling so Russia and China wouldn't pursue economic growth, but it was made as an answer to the like tech leadership hypersonics, the tech portion of the D8. It's like Russia and China, they would eventually abandon growth because of the AF, means they won't pursue AI, they won't pursue hypersonics, etc. So those kinds of technologies won't be destabilizing even if the D8 were true. While I'm unsympathetic to the 1AR getting like new impact thanks to cyber, I would be sympathetic to the 1AR and 2AR to be like, they just didn't go to the transition. They went for an assurances DA, did not go to the transition page. I'm assuming you're still reading these 1AC cards are just like China would abandon growth really quickly as a result of the AF. Maybe, I don't know, I don't think you read a Russia card like maybe if you read a card like Russia would abandon growth really quickly. You have a uniqueness trick in the 1AC that this probably would have tipped maybe the balance of the debate, but it wasn't in the 2AR, and I felt like this would just be doing a little bit too much work for you, which is that you're like, China recession is like imminent, and it means Chinese sort of like structural collapse is imminent as well, which means even if China is revisionist, they would probably embrace degrowth if the AF did it. And that happens really quickly. So it wouldn't like be like the AF happens, China's not sure if the AF is genuine or not, it takes them like 10 years, like, all right, America's genuine, we're gonna do it. The story I think you should spin is like, Chinese economic collapse is ongoing / imminent. Maybe the biggest chance of danger is if China's economy goes down, but the US continues to pursue growth. That sort of mismatch where China feels status denial and a loss of economic power, combined with the US still pursuing growth, makes it more likely that she will lash out, diversionary wars, rally, whatever you want. The AF we should respond to that inevitable and imminent Chinese collapse by degrowing, which we think China's not revisionist, and they would then see the AF as like an olive branch or like a way of defusing their economic situation. That would accelerate their sort of embrace of permanent degrowth rather than trying to pursue growth as a way to like rebound from a recession. So we have a really quick particular scenario for war as a result of like US is revisionist / US China bad, which is that if Chinese economic collapse is coming now, which they've just not answered, that is the most proximate scenario for war if there's a mismatch where the US pursues growth and China doesn't. Only the AF can solve that and make Xi and the CCP not want to do that kind of diversionary war. They might be right or wrong about Chinese vision long term, but you're just much more certain that like we're winning a short-term uniqueness argument and a really short-term China impact, and that's the quickest way to get to a war. I mean, it would require probably a couple different cards, a bit of a different explanation, but even if it's like China recession inevitable / seems like imminent stuff wasn't in the 2AR and certainly wasn't made as an argument for why China would degrow really quickly. As it stands, I think you win that they will, I guess, embrace degrowth in the long term, but they're going to win this like allied perception, short term, hotspot escalation, mismatch, miscalculation type thing. And I have much more certainty that that is neg offense than that is AF offense.
So my first question is, for the cyber attacks good stuff, like what's your big sticking point with that? Just that you thought it was a double turn, so we cannot extend it as offense, or is it just...
Well, I'm more certain that it wasn't an impact turn because I think you're good at debate, so you probably wouldn't deliberately double turn. You definitely said link turn, and I think you maybe thought it wasn't a double turn because, you're like plan popular, so maybe you're like plan is publicly popular is not really, because you're just like, our card's bad, it's not really about Congress, it's not really link turn. It's just like, but the way the 2AC structure is, you have a card that's much more explicitly like non-unique, you didn't read that, but the card that you read that's like, I think it's like shut down inevitable or cyber attack. The warrant is like shutdown's inevitable.
Yeah.
There's just going to be one in January. It's going to be real short term, but it's going to happen. So it's basically, bill is not good. Like there will be a blockage of the bill. Does that make sense? Like there will be a short term shutdown. So you've read a non-unique argument. You've read a a bad link turn, it's like public popularity, and I guess your reason for not double turn is like public popularity, but why rated card is like plain popular. And then you rated card, I think it's mostly tagged as impact defense. The way that it's tagged that could be offense is just like, I forgot the term, but it's like
It's pacifying.
pacifying. Look, this card doesn't make the argument that ultimately the 1AR wants to make, which is that it offsets kinetic war. It makes the argument that countries might have multiple cyber options, but they will choose the least invasive, least damaging one because they know the more damaging one is much more dangerous and escalatory. So it's a reason why if US cyber capabilities went down, countries wouldn't choose the worst option. So it's defense within cyber, but it's not, they would attack in via cyber, or they would choose cyber options, but that prevents a kinetic option that they would have chosen. So that's like the content of the card I don't think is an impact turn. That's why I think the impact turn is new. I think the way it's tagged is, let's be honest, it's tagged to appear mostly like impact defense with the line that may therefore justify an impact turn. I just think a lot of teams these days have just gotten away with 1ARs are constructive, and like I get it, the block does all kinds of crazy shit. So it's like to a certain degree you need to be able to do new things. I'm just a little bit more old school on, you definitely get new 1AR answers if it's a thing that is new in the 2NC or 1NR that was not said in the 1NC. But the 1NC was like a cyber impact. I think the 2AC cards are defense.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to let y'all know that
Pairings
pairings did blast like 5 minutes ago.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
No, I
5
was just
minutes
saying.
ago.
Oh,
yeah,
fuck.
I was just saying in case that y'all also wanted to like
Okay.
keep going.
I am, if you want to prep, I'm really happy to talk after round 6. You can find me later, tomorrow,
Yeah.
email, whatever.
Can we also like?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Thank you, Yaya.
Yeah.